that they will sell their souls, they will sell their own nation for their own well-being. So no, there will be no mass awakening. What Trump needs to do is to call a press conference and tell the truth in front of the cameras. Tell the truth how the system works. If he knows the truth, if he understands it, and if he's not a puppet. Oh, that's all what he needs to do. Speak in front of the cameras about how everything works and what people are behind this. If he will say that, if he will name them, if he will reveal that all of this is just a one big scam to keep people in line, then we got a revolution and America gonna gain its freedom.
Virago TALKS.
Hello, my friend. Today my guest is OREL. He is very well informed guy from the Polstrat Project. And hello, OREL. Would you tell us about Polstrat Project, what it is? Because our listeners most probably doesn't know what it is.
Alright, good evening everyone. The Polstrat Project is the idea of creating a system within the system, and is related to all those problems which the Western countries are facing today. The attack on our traditional values, in general the war against our civilization, where it looks like we are destroying ourselves. I mean, our nations are destroying our own civilization by how we are evolving, but as we all should already know, it's all just part of a bigger agenda and push it on our societies by the puppet governments, mass media, major corporations, and even education system, which at the end is controlled by the same I'm trying to censor myself because I know this is gonna be on the YouTube, but the same groups of interest, the same groups of people, if I'm making this clear enough to understand.
I'll keep going. I believe the people who doesn't understand, they wouldn't even listen to us. So I believe like this is for a little bit more educated people than the ordinary sheeple.
Alright, so let's kind of explain this because some of the listeners are not familiar with the subject. There is something bad happening in all our Western countries, even in those in the East Europe, which are seen as those more sane and traditional in the way how they operate, how they function. But it's a global agenda. Even recently there were news that the most conservative and this closed country on the migrants like Japan is opening its gates because of the demographic issues over there. So it's happening all over, and not only European countries are affected by pretty much agenda, especially all the major countries across the world. And well, at this point I would like you to open the first graphic, which is very much illustrating how this process, how this agenda of our international
To the graphics, would you tell us, like, I know you was like red-pilled like 15 years ago, so when and how you realized you're being lied to?
Oh well, I was kind of lucky that I was raised in a very red-pilled family, if I can say it this way. In the childhood I spent most of my time with my grandpa because my parents were traveling, and yeah, I was very much informed in advance what to expect from living in the country where I was spending my childhood. And so let's say I was very much resistant, thanks to help of my grandpa, to all this subversion and indoctrination of the education system at the time. And well, in part I became aware thanks to grandpa, but later I pretty much self-educated myself, mostly thanks to help of the internet, pretty much like most of other red-pilled people today, aware people today.
So, okay, let's move to the graphics. You sent me some graphics and you said you want to explain them and talk about them.
Yes, I would like to use just for a guidance the Time magazine cover. It is very self-explaining. So let's start from the top left. A new face of America. It's a very characteristic thing, which is how the people, European people of the future, is supposed to look like. In this context, it's to America, but it's in the same time applied to Europe. So basically, this is about the agenda of mixing people from different ethnic groups into packing them into our countries and creating this new type of man. But you know where this is heading to. And another one, the B, the picture B, is your baby racist. That's basically also self-explanatory. So if you are pale-skinned and blue-eyed especially, then you are naturally, the racist part. Another Time magazine cover, a child-free life, basically promotion for the people of the pale skin color to just enjoy the life, enjoy the show, to not get married, not have babies. We know what's the message. Another one, the New Europeans. Well, another self-explanatory. You see a family of Middle Easterns, name it a New Europeans, reference to the migration and all those things. Another one, C, a Mexica. Well, that's pretty much the same when it comes to replacement of pale people in America with the migrants from the south. So I expect that everybody understands what it is about. Another one, why amnesty makes sense. Well, we know what is the crime ratio of certain groups of people in America, so since those crime records are kinda racist, that's how they classify them, because they are not proportional to the pale population of America. So we see where the narration is going, right? Maybe we should actually be more merciful to those type of criminals just because they are a minority. You know where this is going. Another cover, we are Americans. It's just like a Mexica, but in this case you got people from all ethnic backgrounds, pretty much same thing which they're doing in Europe. And gender revolution, well, that was when there was this promotion of LGBT and all this madness and insanity of normalizing what is abnormal in our countries. And right now there is another one, because please notice everybody that all those covers were like a prophecy of what the globalist agenda is about. What do they want to, how do they want, what they want to promote or normalize in our countries. And the next cover, which is very, very disturbing, we see the Great Reset. And this needs to be more deeply explained. First, let's focus on the cover for a moment. We can see over there a mother holding a baby, which is darker skinned baby. Mother is probably a single mom, which is very characteristic for those type of... Never mind. And we see various people building new world and calling it a Great Reset. But in fact, the Great Reset, combining all the news and leaks which are popping up on the internet all over, it's a reference to a new global financial system, or we could say it that the ultimate aim of this new Great Reset is to introduce a cashless currency system, remove cash from circulation, and let's kind of explain the process here. So we got this staged pandemic situation creating this panic and all those restrictions which hit hard on the small business owners in our countries. It's a very agonizing situation for our economy in general, but there are few goals which we can logically conclude based on globalist agenda from those events, and those will be as follows. Major corporations which are owned by the same people at the same investment companies at the top, which are owned by the same people who are also the main shareholders of the various central banks across the globe. So those major corporations becoming more rich, while the competition of normal regular people who are trying to build something for themselves, achieve something in life, their own businesses, small businesses, those regular people who are not part of the big club, which they are not in, well, they are sentenced to go bankrupt, to be eliminated from the market, or to become in its own form a debt slaves to the purest core, to those guys at the top. So people who still have something what belongs to them, those especially who are debt free and have their own businesses and having a small or a medium businesses in our countries, they need to be also eliminated, or should I say enslaved to maximum, to take away, to destroy them, to pin them down to the ground. And how does this work like with this pandemic situation and introduction of cashless currency system? So we can see that the banks, central banks, are printing money without any limits, as they got a green card to flood our markets with the cash in order to keep the economy on the sustainable level in motion. But obviously there will be consequences of it, especially after the pandemic, after the crisis situation will be resolved, and people falling in debts, they are getting those donations, they are those credits, but every credit needs to be paid back. And when it comes to that, well, the consequences of the pandemic, which will be happening in the following months, unemployment will be rising, more companies will be going bankrupt, and at some point the governments who are governments will have an option, an offer from the central banks, because of how bad the economy will be at time in our countries. The banks will say this: we will erase most of your debts, and we will even erase debts of those people out there who pretty much were borrowing money for us to maintain their businesses alive and to function. So we're gonna erase most of those debts under one condition: you will remove the cash from circulation. We will be the only one who will be distributing and managing the digital currency, which will be accepted, if not on a global scale, then at least on this continental scale. I mean, there will be one for North America, one for European Union countries, and for Asia they will have their own. But that's the end game. If they will introduce this cashless currency system, that means they will have full monitoring of all the all the regular people transactions, spendings, taxation, everything what we earn and what we spend and how will be in registry, monitored by those people who control those transactions. So this will be over for organizing anything legally in order to try to oppose the people who control this system today and who push these destructive policies upon our nations. Because if you will be somehow not comfortable for them, or you will be seen as a right-winger, radical terror guy of some sort, or a guy who does not play along with whatever they promote or stand for, then they might simply shut down your wallet and you will lose access to choose anything from your shop.
Sorry, what would you say about what kind of time scale we'll be talking about? Is it coming
Well,
up really quick? We still have some time.
if we are lucky with this, when it comes to the introduction of cashless currency system, then my lucky guess would be around 5 to 10 years. Maybe that's how much time it will take them to enforce this new system on our countries. But the next year, we will witness a lot of bad things happening on our streets in our countries. We don't know how many more lockdowns there will be, but there will be more to come. Those will strike hard at the people, their regular life, costs of living, because inflation will start popping up, skyrocketing at some time, and people will be hit hard at their wallet because of the situation. And as Yuri Bezmenov said, that the only way to send a message for the ignorant masses to acknowledge and to learn something, you need to hit them at their butt. So it's either at their lifestyle or a wallet. And here is something more. This is a pure speculation at this point, but it's important to consider. We know from the official sources, from their own words, that the globalist narration is also about the population. And so here are some theories to consider. In one way, there is this panic, or should I say, people saying that the injections, the vaccines against the virus, they might be somehow deadly, or sterilizing people, or doing some other damage, side effects on a long term, which gonna affect the people who are gonna take the injections. Yes, it's possible. I mean, every doctor which I have contact with, and they pretty much saying no, to stay away from those things. And I got some doctors in Germany and in Switzerland who are in high position, and if they saying that, then actually every reasonable person will stay away from those vaccines. But there is also another possibility here for something what the ruling elites, the international ruling elites, might try to do. What if those injections actually granting some immunity? And I heard rumors already about COVID-21. They might release some truly deadly virus in the future. We don't know that. It's possible, assuming they really want the population. So let's say those vaccines, they grant immunity against those type of the viruses of some sort, which they created in the biolabs or whatever they do. And those people who actually are rebellious, who are not obeying the instructions of those who setting the narration for the system, they will not take the injection. Which means if the deadly virus will spread, it will affect only those who were actually opposing the ruling elites, while those who were acting like a blind sheep, who were obeying the instructions of the government, who took the injections, they're gonna actually survive because of that. It's just a pure speculation, but it's also a possibility. So they can eliminate all the rebellious people at one swing while leaving the sheep alive to keep the system going. This is also a theory. So yeah, those are the possibilities here. And there is something else to notice about this pandemic situation. Even the normal, regular people who are not digging into those deep informations about how the system works, even they notice that this pandemic, they speak about it on the streets. It does happen. Not everybody is up to wearing those masks and just believing blindly. Even the normies are questioning the narration about the pandemic. They're saying that the virus is not that deadly, it's panic, blah, 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 blah. So what if they released this first virus in order to hurt people economically, to teach them a lesson and the message is like this: do not trust the government, do not trust the media whenever they spread the panic about some pandemic, you see, because you only lost your money, your jobs, your businesses, but the virus was not deadly at all, as you can see. But then after a few months, or maybe after a year, they will release some truly deadly virus, and all the warnings will be ignored because the same people took a lesson from the first pandemic and will be like, nah, new pandemic, I'm not buying this crap, I will not go for any vaccines, any injections, or any restrictions. We're gonna protest on the streets to defend our jobs. And the virus, if there will be some deadly virus released, it will spread like crazy just because the sheep and the rebellious people will ignore the warnings. So you see, there are many possible strategies behind
scenario as well. Yeah.
I'm just pointing on the putting on the table the options which they might be applying. And this narration, when it comes to hold this agenda, people might be questioning what is the source for it. There are many sources, but so right now about the main source on which we rely, why we were trying to understand how our system functions. We're gonna and I'm going to explain this this system in a second, but first about the sources. Main sources which were first revealed are protocols of elders of Zion. They were released by the Tsar intelligence in Russia in the early 20th century. I know the official sources saying that the material was a fabrication by the Imperial Russia intelligence, but even if the material was a fabrication, then everything what was in that material is happening today. It was happening through entire 20th century till today. So it doesn't matter if the material is fake or if it's real, because what is written over there is real in our world today. So either the Imperial intelligence were some type of future tellers and or geniuses of some sort, or maybe they really managed to steal those materials from those groups who were planning all this agenda and who are in control of the international banking system today, of the world media, major corporations. It's always at the end the same groups of people, the same ruling families. We don't know how many of them there is, we know they exist, we don't know all the names. And the second source where we can get some names more about them, and except the official sources, because of course there are official sources, mention few names like Roque and I won't be mentioning them here. The second main source of the information confirming that those plans, this agenda existed, were the sources from the Third Reich. The Germany during World War II managed to publish lots of materials which the German intelligence was able to assemble about those people from North America and from Russia, and they also managed to create those big leaks. Those materials are most not spoken about, I don't know why, but they match with the writings of the protocols of Elder of Zion, so the informations are matching here. And they match it with the future leaks, which is the Rockefeller's agenda, for example, and but never mind about that. So now let's discuss what we managed to establish about the system. Here is a graphic picturing how this system is structured. I will explain each one of them in details, according if the time will allow us. So. Number one on the schematics, we got the nation citizens. The entire purple area with the state government, state economy, nation citizens are our countries. From the perspective of those who are ruling this system, those countries are only officially independent, but unofficially we are not. We are part of a globalized system where our countries are addicted to each other economically. I don't think there is a single country in the West, in North America or Europe, that could function independently today, like being self-sufficient in food production or basic economy itself. Everything is chained on the international level to make sure that not country will gain independence on its own, even if it will be possible, which is not, but I will explain that in a moment. So, nation citizens, this is us. That's where we are, and our countries, our cages, where the cattle is being held. That's where we are allowed to function, to keep the system alive. So we are fighting the left, we are fighting some insanities from the left. We are fighting against each other. It's all just a distraction. We are fighting against symptoms, not against the core of the problem. And until we will not do something against the core of all of this, what is happening in our countries, then there is no solution. When we are fighting in our countries against the replacement, the migration, against all those attacks on our traditional values, culture, it's the fight inside our countries has no impact on the system itself, because that's where we are allowed to fight, because they're controlling us. And in exchange, we are just blaming the symptoms. We are just blaming our puppet politicians who are being exchanged with the new puppets with every election, if there is need for that. We are always presented about the elections, about the state and government and the puppet politicians. The people are presented with a choice between this more conservative candidate or political party and accelerationist leftist one. So, for example, in America, you had this Trump and Biden, or in elections before you had a Hillary and Trump. So one guy is always portrayed as this anti-establishment for the rebellious or conservative voters who wants to oppose the leftist madness. Another candidate is for the leftist. So, and no matter who we choose in any elections, even in European countries, it's always about Israel first and the interest of the country later, and the same of the government is being continued. So that means reinforced position of the major corporations and the banks, more debt onto our countries, because that's pretty much always how it goes. The Trump pretty much beat the record since he became elected. And if someone do not know that yet, the banks, the central banks, they have a private shareholders. So whenever we are borrowing the money from them, which they got monopoly to print, create on request whenever we need to get more money, they got this privileged position to monopolize that position and authorized by our states to print those monies, to make those monies for us and pump them into the system whenever we need them. But we are borrowing those money on a percent, on the interest. And the interest is going also into the shareholders, and shareholders are mostly bankers' families. So you see, the system is corrupt from the very top. So we got this illusion of democracy, where we got illusion of a choice, we got illusion of freedom, we got illusion of pretty much never mind, but I'm sorry for losing myself in the thoughts, but there is really lots to explain on this, and I'm trying to match myself in the time of this interview. So anyway, in those cages, call it officially countries, that's where we are allowed to fight with each other, to function. Above our countries in the hierarchy of control of the system, we got major international corporations, mostly media corporations, but right now it's those internet also companies like the Facebook and others like those. So it's not really a secret that the major international corporations have more influence and impact on economy of our countries and the society itself. They shaping the narration, they pretty much telling people what to think, who to vote for, and majority of people pretty much swallowing those informations and do as they told. So in this power structure above our countries, we got those corporations. And whenever the population, the citizens of our countries are unhappy about the current puppets who are screwing us over and over again after each elections, we are just presented with no option, and those corporations over there, they are the ones who are promoting and putting into our heads what candidates we supposed to choose from. And I know that some people might say that the example of the Trump is our guy, it's complete nonsense. It's even in the elections with the Trump and Hillary was taking place, please notice that some of the establishment, the media, were even exposing themselves as a fake news. There were those affairs where I'm sorry. Any sane person for the last 50 years at least knows that the media lies. And even if everybody knows that media lies, majority of the population is continue to swallowing those lies. And hold this campaign with Trump and when he was competing with Hillary, it was so obviously staged in how he was portrayed as this anti-establishment guy, and it will continue going this way, and it continues going this way till today, as we can even see with the current elections. And by the way, about the current elections with the Trump, I was confident that the Trump is not going to remain a president of the United States as soon the Netanyahu from Israel congratulated Biden, and pretty much all the other countries, including China, follow it. So that's pretty much what made me confident that Trump is not going to remain a president and Biden going to replace him. And even if by some magic Trump will get the presidential chair in the United States, then I assure you that there will be mass riots, maybe some civil conflict of some sort on American streets, because the international corporation, the main narrative, already told the leftists that the Biden will become a president. So if the Trump will magically become a president, then the leftists will feel like the system lied to them, that they are the ones who were lied to by the system, and that means they should go on the streets and oppose some fascist manipulation from the right. That's pretty much how it's gonna roll down. But I don't think.
Since we both know that all the presidents actually are just Muppets. So what do you think, why they decided the Muppet Trump have to be changed for the Biden? Do you feel like he's tough to follow all the rules, or something from the upper elites? Because
Okay.
like I feel like that way, why would they change the puppet? Because like everybody.
I will explain. It's as I was saying before. Always in every elections across European countries or United States, we are presented with a choice between a candidate for the leftist masses and candidate for the people on the right, those rebellious masses. And in this extent, they actually might allow people to choose which puppet, which butcher they want to be butchered by. So if the atmosphere, if in specific country the people on the right, traditionalists, dominate, then they can elect themselves this more conservative politician to rule them. But if the leftists dominate, as it is happening currently in America, then that's why they are replacing Trump. Because in America we see the fire on the streets and all those bad things, and pretty much the leftists dominating the arena over there. The leftist narration taking over. So to not piss off the leftists, and if we want to keep America alive a bit longer and the system in peaceful, relatively peaceful, if we don't want the civil war to take place, then let's let those leftists have their own leader. That's why the Trump needs to be replaced, because the support for Trump dropped compared to leftists. The leftists gained more voting? No. More relevance in the country, so they are allowed to have their own leftist leader. That's pretty much how it's supposed to work like. That's why the Trump's supposed to be replaced. And I think Trump himself kind of feels as a puppet, kind of betrayed, because at the end he kind of turned it back on ADL and the Israeli lobby in United States. I think he felt screwed over, and some may say that Trump is because of that our guy. No, I will tell you very quickly what Trump could do in a matter of minutes in order to save America and oppose the globalists. What Trump needs to do is to call a press conference and tell the truth in front of the cameras. Tell the truth how the system works. If he knows the truth, if he understands it, and if he's not a puppet. That's all what he needs to do. Speak in front of the cameras about how everything works and what people are behind this. If he will say that, if he will name them, if he will reveal that all of this is just a one big scam to keep people in line, then we got a revolution and America gonna gain its freedom. But he's not going to do that because he's still an obedient puppet to an extent. And some may say, oh, because they're gonna threat his family, his life is at stake, he will not risk it. If President of the United States with the top world security is not able to reveal the truth in front of the masses, then nobody ever will. And this is the fact. So I just told you how Trump can fix America, how he can fix the world pretty much by creating this world affair about President of the United States revealing the truth about who is controlling the system and how. If he would just do that in front of the cameras, America is safe. And pretty much we got the rebellion against those who pulling the strings behind the king's throne, if you understand the meaning. So yeah, that's pretty much what he could do. So let's continue with this. So we got our countries, which are our cages for the cattle, where we are allowed to fight. We got international corporations, which hold more power and influence on our nations than our own governance. Above our governance and the corporations, we got all the central banks. Commercial banks are more like a seller in the shop who is selling the goods from the guy who is manufacturing the goods. So they are not really to blame. Commercial banks are just like a shops with the shop owner who is doing the trade. But the central banks are the major tools to keep our countries in line. It depends on the country. How much the central bank having the impact on the state politics and the politicians itself behind the scene, because those banks are the middlemen between our governance and those who actually control the banking system. Our central banks are following directives from above, and our governance must submit to those directives. Otherwise, we would face terrible consequences on economic ground and much more. I will try to explain this later as well. So above our central banks, we got 4 major central banks. Maybe there is 5. We don't know exactly. So we got a Federal Reserve, which is the most powerful central bank across the globe. We got European Central Bank, and we got one Bank of Asia. It's I think it's located in Singapore or in Hong Kong. I'm not pretty sure, but they got their own. And there is one more major central bank, which is for South America and Africa combined. They got one central major bank to coordinate those central banks on the national level. The main, like a super central bank, like a central bank of all central banks, from which all the directives are coming to those central major banks and national banks, is Bank of International Settlement in Switzerland. That's the main central bank headquarter around the world. And even Bank of Russia is responding to it. So Federal Reserve, European Central Bank, Bank of Russia, and probably more are responding to Bank of International Settlement. And it's not some super secret information. Just put this information into your Google, read the Wikipedia article what the BIS bank is in Switzerland, and I think they even saying that it's a central bank of all central banks. So anyway, the Bank of International Settlement role is to coordinate or more like a give orders, instructions how other central banks supposed to work, like what should be their national policy in order to keep the financial system in line. All right, and the Bank, Federal Reserve, they got something in common. By the way, Bank was created after war, I think in the 1946, if I remember right. And it was obviously a bank for a chosen people to get their compensations for war crimes made by Third Reich Germany. So that's how they created this major central bank, which later evolved into this most important financial institution in the world, and most powerful one, by the way. So Federal Reserve and Bank and all those other central banks from Europe and Asia are having same shareholders, in fact. The most popular one is obviously this Rockefeller guy, but there is much more names, and as I said before, you can find those names in the German materials from the World War II times. They revealed lots of them. We don't know how many ruling families there is. Officially, they do not hold power over the central banks, but if they are shareholders, then the guys who are actually working in the bank, those managers, they are just like managers or workers. They are doing the work to keep things going, but the instructions are coming from behind the scene from those who own the assets, who are the shareholders, right? So those ruling families, they certainly exist. We don't know who they are, how many there is of them. Just by coincidence, those public ones, those revealed by the materials which I mentioned before, and even those Rockefellers, well, they have this in common, that they are from the groups of chosen people. That's all I can say in this video to not make it banned anymore, but make your own conclusion. And as you can see, the narration of all the system, those major corporations, our own governance, and people who control it, which means ruling families, is about destroying especially the civilization of people with European origins, destroying our traditional values. They hate Christianity as well, so the church was subverted 2 times. It's also a long story, but basically the church is being destroyed from outside and inside. It's a complex process. And the end game is to create world of enriched, or should I say mixed nations, which won't be able to ever rise against the rulers of the system as united force, because if they will be mixed inside, they will be too busy fighting with each other, and especially mixed in culture, religion, and ethnic background creates a swamp which will never allow those nations to unite over any higher idea, agenda, or any common to protect them. It's impossible. It doesn't work this way in multi-culti society anymore. If the country becomes multi-culti one, especially European country, it's over for this nation. You cannot save it. You cannot oppose the ruling elites from the international level. All right, but there is more to those structures. There are 4, maybe 5. I don't remember the names of all of them. Let's say there is 4 major investment companies, which are also created from money, which ruling families obtained from central banks, by the way, including from Fed. So they created 4 major companies in the United States. There might be also 5th one in Europe, but I don't remember the name. The most popular is, for example, BlackRock, Fidelity Investment Group, and there is 2 more. I don't remember the names. Those companies, if we would follow the money of not all, but majority of medium companies across every European country or North America, and all the top corporations, those investment companies are also the major shareholders. And in a sense that they do not own like 70% of the shares of some company, but they own like 10 or 5% of those companies, which are the main, I don't know the English word for it, For example, I will explain this process. Let's say you have a company, you got one shareholder who holds 10% or 5%, and you got 7,000 other people who owns for 1% of something. So who has more to say in the management of this company? The guy who owns the 5% of the shares, all those 7,000 people who owns for 1% or whatever else, less than 1%, the smaller scale. Obviously, this 5% guy is the one who controls the company because he's the one who has direct impact on the management. Not those 7,000 other shareholders, but I'm just simplifying this to help you understand how the shareholding works. And obviously, those 4 major investment companies cannot be the main shareholders directly of our economy, of our industry, of our businesses in our in our countries. So they have a proxy shareholder, satellite investment companies, which are holding shares of the main company which they want to control. And by this proxy, they are redistributing power, so it's not visible for the public and the administration that only one major company owns them all, because there is many proxies which act on command of the stop company and are also shareholders of the company which we want to control. So that's how they control industry, major business companies in our European countries and in North America. It's same in Russia. There is not really any independent major corporation around the world. All of them are pushing the same narrative agenda according to the instruction from those major shareholders. And as I explained it, major investment companies are owned by the same ruling families at the top. It's always like that. Okay, and there is something else here. Political solution in our countries, in our cages, which are unofficial called countries and independent countries, is impossible. There is no possibility to ever elect in this system independent politician who will try to oppose those people from above or try to act independently itself. Sure, they may allow some small, meaningless, independent group into the government for a show, but they will not hold any true political power to have anything to say about the state politics. They might be allowed only in for a show. And even if by some miracle a country would gain independence from the system, globalized system, there would be independent government, either by election, which is impossible, or by some armed revolution. Then just because of how globalized our economy is, I spoke about this before, the country will be destroyed from outside, just because it will try to get out from this chain, step out from the line, by economic sanctions, by economic consequences from the central banks. It will turn into Venezuela 2.0 very quick, and that means that as soon the population of such independent government will feel the economic consequences of this attack, they will quickly rebel against any independent government from below. Because as you can see on the schematic, the shareholders companies control the state economy. They control the state financial system and economy from the ground. They control the major industry. They can sabotage the state economy from inside and attack it from outside. So any independent government or independent country who will magically gain independence in the system will be quickly destroyed by its own people, turned against this independent government just because of the economic consequences. People don't really care anymore in our modern system about higher ideas or some agenda, some noble agenda. They care about their own wallet, about their own well-being. So as soon they're gonna start feeling consequences of having this independent government on their own pocket, they will rebel against it. They will sell their souls, they will sell their own nation for their own well-being. Pretty much same like our ruling elites today doing that and did in the past. We always had this problem that we corrupted ourselves. The corruptors corrupted our people at the top powers who sold our countries, gave them on the plate, dictated the politics according to ruling elites who were bribing, buying, threatening. And really, even one more thing. Even if there will be some hero, independent hero, who will resist them and who will somehow magically stay in power in their country, we live in a 21st century. In this world, if you want to kill someone, eliminate him physically, assassinate him, and you have resources for it, you can do it. And there is no security in the world which you can apply until you will not hide this person in a bunker for the lifetime to keep this person safe. So I'm sorry I'm exposing it this way, but that's basically how it is like. There is no solution on the national level.
We said like, yeah, okay, we like most of us know this situation is really, really bad. Do you have any solutions, any ideas? What's supposed to do? Like, or it's kind of looks like there is nothing to be done because, as you said, like, and as we know, like,
yes, and what
system really. But
I know this is very black-pilling. I understand it's very black-pilling, but if we want to apply a proper solution, then we need to understand completely situation. And one more thing, no, actually two more things, because there are people like that. First, there are people who saying there will be mass awakening. Please watch interview with Yuri Bezmenov, ex-KGB agent who specialized in psychological warfare.
everybody should watch that. I know, yeah.
Indoctrinated person cannot be awakened until he will not feel the consequences of his ignorance and stupidity on his own butt or wallet, as I said before with the example with the flu, I mean the virus. And so no, there will be no mass awakening. And the agenda of the ruling elites applying to that is like this. Cattle must be at the bottom of the society, they must work for us, serve us, but they cannot be completely having this understanding that they are enslaved, because then they will rebel. So we need to keep the cattle relatively happy on a level where they can sustain somehow a happy life in their own imagination, at least, to keep them productive and obedient. And you can also distract them with fighting with symptoms of our agenda or with each other, so they will not target us. This is how you keep population enslaved effectively. You keep them happy enough, but enslaved at the bottom to not give them any power to shape their reality or world around. This is how it works. And other people are saying, trust God, God will save us. I'm a Catholic myself, I'm a Christian, but if you want to save yourself, don't rely that the God will do work for you, all the work for you himself, or you will end up like those Christians in the Middle East, in North Africa, who we know that live today only because they are allowed to live, as a useful for the Islamic rulers over there. And the same thing which is happening, which took place to Christian countries in North Africa and in Middle East, will take place in Europe in few generations, or in North America. So it's just a matter of time, and I assure you, God might save you after you will pass away from this world, but in this world you need to save yourself and your people by your own hard work. Okay, now about the solution.
It's not helping you in this world and this life. Where is the point to believe him and pray to him?
Well, pray to God for strength in this fight, and that's what you can expect from your God, from God itself, to give you strength to go through this what we are facing today. But saving you, like saving your country, that's not how it works. All right. Now, about the solution. Yes, there is a solution without guaranteed success, but at least it's a chance. I analyzed dozens of other ideas, other solutions, which already in theory itself has no right to work. But there is a solution which I'm presenting on our YouTube channel and on our website. You can read about them in the description below. It is, as I said at the beginning of this interview, it's about creating a system inside the system. It's exactly the same thing which those who rule today did in the past. I will say a few words about it. In the past, they were operating in our host countries, but they had their own taxation, they had their own jurisdiction system, they had their own courts. We don't need courts, but we need our own economy system. The power in our countries, in this world, comes from economy. If we will build our people, our own market, our own exchange system, our own currency. I know it won't be a currency, but it's not legal to say it even it's a currency, but a means, with our own means of exchange. And we're gonna start building our own structure with decentralized power structure and organization internationally, but coordinating this construction of this new system. Then we can make it, because they cannot target directly any individual, because it's decentralized power structure. They cannot target individually any business which is operating legally within the system without affecting all other businesses on the national scale, because they still need to operate in the rules of law. I know they can modify the law, but there is no way to modify a law to target individual especially. It's simply not against the Roman system which we having in Europe and America till today. We can use it for our advantage. The laws which they created, especially on international level, to major corporation, can be used for our benefit to help us build this new system and how it's supposed to function. Local economic zones with our communities, which can be formed from our people across our countries in the West, around the world in fact. Cooperation not only with Europeans but also with non-Europeans. The non-European countries in the Middle East, in South America, and many more, they are also enslaved, and in Asia they are also enslaved by the same international ruling elites, and they have our people in their own countries who are aware of this and who also are willing to cooperate, work together with Europeans to oppose the rulers of the system. Even in Japan and Korea, we have friends who are cooperating with us, so I'm just saying how it works. We are forced to cooperate with them. There is no choice. I'm just stating this. I know everybody would prefer some magical ethno blah blah state and liberate their own countries on the national level, but it's impossible. The only way to do it is international cooperation. We need to operate on the globalized level, same like our enemies do, but instead of them attacking what is good in our civilization, in our values, we need to be defending it. We need to defend nationalism in our countries, our national values, and those people who are defending those countries. Because you guys being attacked by the global ruling elite with enormous power, unlimited resources, and army of puppets. And at some stage, if we're gonna build those structures from the ground, if we're gonna cooperate, if we're gonna develop, if we're gonna be brave to do this, then those puppets will start seeing potential and might start switching sides to support our cause. Just because they are also goats, they are also a cattle, they understand that, and they serve because they have no alternative. But if there will be thousands of people organizing and having their own economy to back up their organization, then puppets will have alternative to side with. And puppets often understand that serving the international masters, even if it grants them good, comfortable, luxury life or a position, it does not provide secure future for their children. And they will gladly switch to alternative as soon as it will be presented to them. I know I shouldn't be speaking this in public, but I applying a basic logic of how it works with the puppet mind. And yes, okay. What else am I supposed to?
Fun. What's the first steps like? Is your project doing already some steps, or like how is going on?
All right. About the
really ambitious.
About what we are doing right now. There is a plan, step by step, what to do and how. I'm doing networking. I'm finding competent people who could start forming their own independent organizational cells in their own countries to represent and organization of this plan in their own countries. And we have some successes with that. It's really good. When it comes to current projects which we are developing, there is a Polstrat Community Hub, which is almost finished and which will help the aware people to find each other on a local level in their own countries, while in the same time preserving their identity secured. But in the same time, you will be able to find person who who you will be able to filter on the website, not in the search engine, not on based on their skills, understanding of the world, but also we designed some smart mechanics to eliminate some crazy people and weirdos. So I'm pretty sure this platform will be suitable for anybody. It will be completely for free. We are covering all the costs. We are providing those tools to those our people to help them find each other and make friends. It's very important to find in this world and make our friends locally. And if possible, if there will be enough of you in the same area, form some communities. Next, there will be 2 platforms provided, but they will be developed by a company, which we're gonna open. Never mind what company it's gonna be, you're gonna learn from the plan. First platform will be Polstrat platform. It will be for organization. That will be like a control panel to control our organization. That's where we will be monitoring our work, our decisions, observing our work progress, or criticizing them, providing new ideas. Basically like a one big control panel to control this organization. Another platform will be TradeStrat, a trade market, international trade market. It will be like a eBay or Amazon, but with our own currency, or should I say tokens, and we will be promoting use of alternative currencies like cryptos. You will be able to go over there and trade things in 4 ways. It will be hybrid market, by the way, because we are not able to build independent market at the start. You're going to be gaining independence with time. But at the start, it will be allowing the fiat currency use. That means you can trade with normal means like you do on the Amazon and everything else. Another, we will allow people to organize barter. I know it's complicated to explain. I won't be explaining this here just because no time, but we will allow people to.
And I definitely leave all the links to your channels.
Yes, everything is in our material. They can study the details over there. And the third one, it will be all the cryptocurrencies. You can just go over there and trade with those. And the fourth one will be our currency. Our currency is extremely important because we will apply strong rules of protectionism to this market. That means we will be able to defend this market from exterior manipulation, speculations, or some big investors with the big noses who are going to try to come and sabotage the market from inside. Because our currency, the preferred way, probably the only way to obtain it will be to like this. If you want to purchase it and you got like ton of gold or $1 million or something, and you will be like, give me 1 million tokens, we will be like, not really, that's not how it works. You can take the 1 million shekels or 1 million gold and buy 1 million goods of value of $1 million or 1 million shekels, whatever you use. Come to our market and sell it to our business partners, to those farmers who operate in our market, and then if they're gonna buy it from you, that's how you're gonna earn our currency. So we're gonna start building a healthy economy where our currency is backed by value of the real goods and not of an empty pyramid scheme of some speculations, blah blah blah. Of course, we will allow you to trade with the other ones, but only if you exchange goods and purchase with some other traders in this own currency. Our currency must be purchased only by delivering a goods for sale to our market. That's the only way how you're gonna be able to obtain it. And we will be building a competitive system, competitive market with the current world system. Just that our market will be fully transparent and controlled by the value of the goods on the market. While we know how the current world market and system works, like we just relies on one big speculations bubble and manipulation by those who have the most wealth in this world. So we will provide a healthy alternative, and that's how we will start building a new economic bloc, a new economic empire within this system. I designed pretty much all the security measures against corruption, against possible assassinations, against all the possible threats for this organization. I just need to find more competent people who will be able to start doing this independently in their own countries and national level. It's our last hope to save our countries, our future. Otherwise, if we will not build this new market before they're gonna remove the cash from circulation, it will be over. If we will not build this alternative before they remove the cash from circulation. If they're gonna introduce pure digital currency into the world system, we are done. We are completely enslaved. And one more thing, this market, those platforms will be developed under a business company, which will be operating internationally in form of a corporation, just because we want to have we want to use for our protection the international trade laws and regulations can apply if we will be operating as an international corporation with our own business partners and businesses. So that's how it's gonna work formally, international corporation, but informally there will be a bunch of independent organizational and representative cells on the national level organizing and managing this on the national level. So this corporation will be taking care of the market, but it will be not interfering. We are staying away from the national politics. We will not dictate or tell anybody about their national or community politics. It's their own business. We're just trying to help them gain more strength and power to organize and build their own structures in their own country, so we can later cooperate internationally and oppose this current corrupted world system which is destroying us today. This is basically how it's gonna go. Do you have any questions? Did I explain this well enough?
You explained it well enough, and I hope people going to watch this video in Ireland, because like I don't know how many fans and followers you have from Ireland, but that's what I try to do as well. I'm talking with the people from different countries to try to connect them. So it's not just one country trying to do something. So yeah, hopefully it's ambitious.
Most of our team members are from United States and from the Western Europe. Actually, in Poland, I have few. Just saying. It's mostly from the West, not from Europe. Generally, Polish people are not that super aware about the situation. That's what I can say from my experience.
All right. Yeah, actually, how is all the current situation in the Poland? How the people acting there?
We're slowly heading into a lockdown. It's not so bad with the restriction when it comes to the pandemic as it is in the Western countries, especially in the UK. There won't be any forced vaccines here, at least not directly forced by the law, but indirectly it will be probably the same system as in Ireland, in the UK. That means if you will not inject yourself, you will be outcast from the society with very limited rights to do any businesses or operate anywhere. So passively they will force it on people here as well.
Do the people obey all the restrictions and rules, or they don't really care much about them? Like like always when I talk about with the people from other countries, like I'm always curious, because I can see in different countries the level of obedience is different.
Overwhelming majority of Polish people obey the restrictions and rules pushed by the government. They believe the narration. I would say like maybe 30%, 25% of people are not buying this narration of the government. And from what I heard, but it's not verified, around 50% of Polish people are against taking the injections. But as I said, passively the government gonna push it on the people and force it just because of the restrictions for those who will not inject themselves. So it's the same strategy as everywhere else. You have a choice, we will not force you to, but if you will not do, you will face the consequences, you know.
Yeah. That's the worst part. Well, I think in Ireland even more people are obeying than in Poland. Like I kind of feel like Irish people are it's a shame to say, because like I love this country and I live here, but like it looks like it's just like maybe us awakened on some level of like maybe 10%.
Well, majority of people lack of this ability of independent critical thinking. They've been indoctrinated for generations. So don't be surprised that majority of people act like a brainless sheep and do whatever they're told.
Yeah. It's really sad to see, but yeah. And especially that lately, I don't know how it's in Poland, in Ireland lately, like you can see that the rules doesn't make any sense, and like even like such announcements that even kids should understand it's not normal, but like people just follow it. Like I don't know what's wrong. Like they actually, most of the Irish people.
Yes, I confirm this. The regulations pushed by the government are illogical. Everybody sees this, but nobody does anything against it. I mean, what are you expecting? We are witnessing the madness, suicidal madness of the left, what they do on the streets, everywhere. And it's not only about the pandemic, in general, what they stand for, what they're pushing for, what they want. It's all crazy, insane, irrational, but people still getting along with this. So don't be surprised that they're getting along with those illogical restrictions because of the pandemic. It's not different, it's the same madness.
Tell us something nice in the end. We're going to fight them and everything is going to be okay, or some hope for the people, so we don't finish the interview on the sad mood about the sheep, brainless
All right.
sheep.
I will say this, that there are options which we still can use to save our future. For example, even the plan which I present is such an option, and I allowing anybody from the audience to debunk it. If there is someone smart enough to go to the plan and point out something that has no right to work, I will congratulate, I will resign, I will immediately announce it on my channel. But nobody from the thousands of people who researched this plan managed to disagree or say that it's bad idea or something like that, just because, and support that claim with some reasonable argument. So if someone can do that, just do it. But as I said, there is hope, there are options. We just need to be smart to appreciate those and use this plan, to be active, not passive, and just observe the destruction of our countries, of our nations, hoping that someone else will do something for us, because no, we need to do it in ourselves together. We are minority in our countries, there is not many of us, so, and nobody else will save us. We just need to do it ourselves with what we got. We need to work together, being active, not passive. That would be great.
Together we stand, alone we fall. So, yeah, I believe that's gonna be it for tonight. Thank you so much, OREL, that you
Thank you for having.
Always welcome. I believe we'll chat soon again. And okay, guys, thank you for watching and see you very soon.